Well, I think the positive aspect for me personally is because I am an active member of the Apostolic Church of God, which is located a block and a half from where I live. So I'm able to get to and from my church with no problem at all and without any problems at all. So that probably stands out as being the big positive for me. The negative would be the lack of stores in the neighborhood. Whenever you need to buy something, I have to go to Hyde Park or go to some other neighborhood because we don't have the kinds of grocery stores and those kinds of things that I'd like to see in Woodlawn. I tend to agree with that. I also feel that but with our homeless population continuing to grow, and with our single parents, that population continuing to escalate, that we need more programs would take those kinds of housings and turn them into affordable housing for individuals that need places to stay.
I agree. How does this environment make you feel? Do it make you feel comfortable? Do it make you feel uncomfortable?
I am as comfortable today as I was throughout my life. I've been in Chicago all my life, and basically I've had a pretty positive experience, and I feel as positive about being here as I have in past places. Normally, I'm pretty focused on the things that I'm doing, and I don't take unnecessary chances, but I haven't had any problems, nor do I foresee any. I think that one of the things that I'd like to see changed is I'd like to see, especially in this neighborhood, I would like to see more participation from the owners of a lot of condominiums in these last 2 or 3 blocks. And I have been amazed at the fact that it seems to be that many of the owners are apathetic. They don't seem to care. They don't necessarily come to block club meetings. They don't participate in cleanup functions. And so I'd like to see that change. I'd like to see more people that are owners of properties in this particular neighborhood take ownership to the extent that they will become involved in the community. I don't think we need to look outside. I think our initial thing needs to be to look within and ask ourselves, what can we do to improve upon our neighborhood? And I think there is an awful lot of improvement that we can realize in that regard. Well, I mentioned the Block Club. I'm heavily involved with the Block Club, and so that means an awful lot because we have monthly meetings. You know, whenever there is we try to keep ongoing communication within our organization through Facebook and next door, so that we kind of make one another aware of what's going on as it relates to safety issues. And that's one of the involvements that I think that we need to perpetuate and try to get more people to become involved. One of the things that I think we really need to do in the community of Woodlawn and all over is learn to start speaking to people. Mm-hmm. Just to say hello or how are you, and to kind of get to know a person, not necessarily knowing all of their personal business, as it were, but to get to know them to the extent that you would recognize a stranger, to the extent that they would feel free to ask for help if they're in need. You know, I think that that's the thing that we as a community and as a community of black people, as a community of Chicagoans, we all need to get to the point where at least that we kind of not so afraid that we can at least speak to another person, get to know another neighbor. I've been living in the Woodlawn, and well, let me ask. First of all, I've been in the Kimbach area for probably about 3 to 4 years now. Just prior to, I lived on Kenwood, a block away, for another year or two. And prior to that, I lived in Chatham for a number of years, where I was in Chatham. And I think that, but my initial experiences as it relates to Woodlawn go all the way back to the time that I was about 8 years old. I can remember when the train station that is now at 63rd and Dorchester was considered a big train station. I can remember my grandmother's sister coming here from New Orleans, and that train station was where people would come and go. I remember that. My early experiences with the Apostolic Church of God, which at that time was located at 6344 South Kimbach, I can remember that there was a large A&P, which was a grocery store chain, located on the corner of 63rd Street. I remember all the stores that existed up and down 63rd Street during those years. The L was accessible all the way to Stony Island. And of course, the buses, public transportation was available, and life was much different. But I think in preparation for this interview today, I started thinking about my earliest experiences with Woodlawn. And they go back to the time that I was about 7 and 8, and it was a major hub, a major area. I lived at that time in the 40s. And I can remember coming to 63rd Street, and it was kind of an experience, kind of a positive experience. So I think that answers your question. I see some of that. And it's not peculiar or particular to living in Woodlawn. In general, I'm going to tell you, in general, I really feel like living in Chicago and living on the South Side, life is much cleaner now than what it was when I was much younger. All the neighborhoods are a lot cleaner than they were many years ago. So in that area, I think I have really lived long enough to have seen a change. But that is not to say that we don't have more improvement that we can realize. And that's what I would like to see. I think that's typical of what has happened in the entire city. This is what you refer to as your experience that you've been here. But I think if you were still on the north side, you would experience a change along the same lines. Life in general seems to have gotten unfortunately, has gotten to be a little bit more violent than what it used to be, and that's something that I think exists throughout our city. We have to realize that those emergency buttons that you made reference to were actually placed by the University of Chicago. Not by the city of Chicago, not by the residents of Woodlawn. They were placed there by the University of Chicago because of their concern for wanting to protect their investment, which is not Woodlawn, but we just happen to benefit from that.